So the PlayStation event was a couple weeks ago. The Xbox event is tomorrow as of this recording. Summer Game Fest was just a couple days ago. And in between all of those events have been some smaller events focused on indie games specifically. And I think considering how much attention is drawn by those behemoths, really, like Microsoft and Sony and even Jeff Keighley's, like Summer Games Fest is a huge deal now. It's probably hard to keep the spotlight on some of these smaller events. So I have watched all of them. And I wanted to talk about the most exciting indie games that are coming out, of which there have been a lot. I have to imagine there have been at least over 100 indie games that got announced or released or just shown in events over the past couple days. So I have watched Day of the Devs, I watched the Devolver Showcase, I watched the Future of Play Direct, the Wholesome Games Direct, and the Future Game Show. And there's a bunch of stuff that I'm really excited about. I'm not going to talk about all 100 games, obviously, but I've kind of picked and chosen the ones that I think are the most interesting, at least to me and maybe to you. So let's just get into them, shall we? One that I saw a couple times that I'm all about is a game called Beastie Ball, which is from the team that made Chicory. It's a turn-based volleyball RPG that also has like a really distinctly Pokemon-esque energy. So you are like the captain of the team. As far as I can tell, you're not like playing volleyball, but you are instead capturing monsters or like building relationships with monsters, I should say, and training those monsters to get better at playing volleyball, which is like an amazing concept. Obviously, you know, because it's the team that made Chicory, the art is amazing. The music's going to be by Lena Raine again. So like, you just kind of have all the hits lining up. I think this is going to be a big deal. I'm really stoked about it. They just launched a Kickstarter, which I've already backed, and it's going to launch in 2024. I'm really excited about it. The thing that I think is fun, there was one quote in particular that really stuck out to me. They said, "The goal isn't to collect as many beasties as you can, but to spend time with the ones you care about the most," which I think is a nice little swerve, considering it's going to get a lot of Pokemon comparisons. That's Beastie Ball. I think it looks awesome. We saw a little bit more of Hyper Light Breaker, which is going to be the sequel to Hyper Light Drifter, the game by Heart Machine Studios. Look, if you played Hyper Light Drifter, you know that the idea of a sequel is exciting. I think it's a huge swerve to make it a big kind of open world 3D game instead of an isometric hack and slash. It's a big expansive world, and one of the things that I didn't know, maybe they've announced this already, but one of the things I didn't know is that the world is also going to be procedurally generated, or at least partially procedurally generated. They said, quote, "an open world game where you never visit the same world twice," which is cool. It's also going to have online co-op, which is wild. It just seems like the jump from Hyper Light Drifter to Hyper Light Breaker is going to be huge, and that's risky. That's a risky thing to do. That's really ambitious, and I believe in the team enough to pull it off. And hopefully it'll, join the greats of making that kind of transition, like Risk of Rain to Risk of Rain 2 did, for example. Hyper Light Drifter is launching in early access in early 2024. I can't wait to play it. One game that, sorry for the podcast listeners out there, I don't even know how I'm going to be able to describe this, but if you're watching this on YouTube or Spotify, you know what you're looking at is wild. It's a game called Viewfinder from Sad Owl Studios, which is a puzzle game where you have to use a camera to take pictures of objects and things like stairs and bridges in the world, and you can take that picture, hold it in front of your face, and then essentially superimpose that image or object or thing into the world in front of you. So if there's a platform you need to get up to, but there's no way to get up to that platform, but there are stairs behind you, you can take a picture of those stairs, take that picture, print it out, turn around, superimpose the stairs onto the world in front of you, and then climb up the stairs to get to that platform. It looks like Superliminal. It looks like Antechamber. It looks like a bunch of great games that I love. It's a really unique concept. And I'm really stoked about it. That's Viewfinder. One of the wilder announcements from Day of the Devs was Cart Life, which is a game that came out, I think, over 10 years ago, at least, if I'm not mistaken. It's an indie game that I loved back in the day and played a lot of. Won a bunch of awards, but was an indie game specifically about 3 protagonists, all of whom had different kinds of carts where they were selling different stuff. So there was like a hot dog cart and a newspaper cart. And you would play as these 3 protagonists and just essentially play a retail sim as these 3 people. But the world is pretty bleak, as it can be in real life if you're a person who sells newspapers on the side of the street. It's dark but fulfilling. It's really good. It's really well written. There's a reason that game was such a big deal when it came out. But the developer eventually delisted it from Steam. So the game has been kind of like absent for a while. So if you wanted to go play Cartlife, you couldn't. And there's a studio called Ad Hoc Studios, which is partnering with the original developer, Richard Hoffmeyer, to bring the game back to Steam, which I think is exciting. Even like past the game preservation thing, which is like so important, obviously, I just think more people should play Cartlife. I just think it's a good game. So I'm excited for people to get their hands on it. One game that had me scratching my head, as I'm doing now in real life, is Helskate, which is a skateboarding roguelike, which features some of the development team behind Tony Hawk's Underground 1, I believe. It is both a skateboarding game and an action combat roguelite specifically, where you have all of the same controls as Tony Hawk, it looked like, at least based on the UI elements on the bottom of the screen. It looks like, you're grabbing with circle, you're ollieing with X, you're flipping with square, grinding with triangle, and I have no idea how you layer combat on top of that. It seems like a thing that's going to be really difficult, which is another thing that I think I'm really curious about. I feel like a good comparison point to a game like this for me is Roller Drome, which came out on the PS5 last year, which is a game that I think is really ambitious, very cool. I liked it a lot, but it was so hard to get a handle on how to play that game because the idea of blending a Tony Hawk style arcade game with combat at all is a really tall order. And this game is doing that and then also layering in kind of, Hades-esque narrative elements. So really ambitious game. I'm excited to see what's going on with this. Yeah. I think if we're talking Day of the Devs, the thing that was the most exciting to me was a new game by Land and Sea Studios, which are the creators behind the Altos games, Altos Adventure and Altos Odyssey on mobile. Both like all-timer mobile games, in my opinion. They're making a new game called Summerhill that just looked absolutely gorgeous, and it's about flocking sheep. It's a quote-unquote story-driven puzzle game. Didn't see much more of it outside of that, but I mean, those Altos games are just like unbeatably good. Summerhill is on my radar, absolutely. Another game that we've seen a lot of is Cocoon, which is by some of the team that made Limbo and Inside. They're working on a game that is more puzzle-based, more exploration-based. It's no longer a side-scroller, thankfully. It's kind of more an isometric thing. Cocoon I wrote down specifically because I keep seeing and hearing from people who are at Summer Games Fest getting hands-on with it, saying this is like a standout, huge deal video game. It reminds me a lot, if you've played it, of Patrick's Parabox, which is another game in which essentially you, at least in Cocoon, based on what we've seen, you pick up this orb, and that orb contains a whole second level in it that you need to go explore and solve puzzles in. And you can go into that orb and then find another orb that has another level in it and another orb that has another level in that orb. And you can use those orbs to solve puzzles. It sounds wild, but when you see it in action, it really kind of starts to piece together, much like Patrick's Parabox. So Cocoon is, another one to watch, I think. Another game that I was really excited about was Airborne Empire, which is a sequel to a game called Airborne Kingdom that I really, really liked. Airborne Kingdom, if you haven't played it, was a airborne city builder where you would need to build a city that was flying through the air, but you needed to build it in such a way so it would remain level and also stay like efficiently able to fly through the air and explore the world. So you were not only just flying through the air and building the city, but you were also scavenging the ground for resources that you could use to build a bigger city in the air. It was a really cool concept. I was a really big fan of it, and Airborne Empire, wild that it's coming so quickly because I feel like Airborne Kingdom just came out, but Airborne Empire seems to be taking that idea and adding some kind of combat element to it, some kind of like strategy and defense stuff. That's cool. That seems like a cool way to take a sequel to Airborne Kingdom. It's coming out next year, and I really can't wait for it. Frogsong is a game that's been on my radar for a little bit. It got backed on Kickstarter a while ago. The quickest pitch I could possibly give you is, what if Hyper Light Drifter was frogs? Which, like, that might be enough for you. It's a game that got shown off at the Wholesome Games Direct, specifically announcing it's out right now. You can get it on Steam, and I think it's coming to Switch as well. Frogsong looks cool, man. I like it. Bubblegum Galaxy is a game that I was really, really kind of blown away by. I had never even heard of this one, but it's a puzzle game that has kind of like Dorfromantic vibes, I would say, in the puzzle side of it. So you are essentially building these little like terrain blocks out of different elements that they give you. If you haven't played Dorfromantic, it's kind of about like building a city. It's a city builder that's supposed to be like kind of chill and more laid back. And it seems like Bubblegum Galaxy is going for a similar thing. The big hook here, or the big twist, as far as I can tell, is that it also has like a big outside of the puzzle game Katamari Damacy energy. So you are doing all of this terrain building specifically to like rebuild planets that you can put back in the sky, which is not so unlike Katamari Damacy. Whenever you finish a level, they take the Katamari that you built and then turn it into a star in space. It seems like Bubblegum Galaxy is going for kind of a similar thing, similar look. And honestly, that's exhilarating because there should be a billion games taking inspiration from Katamari Damacy, in my opinion. And there aren't. So Bubblegum Galaxy, I got you. There's a demo out now. I already downloaded it on my Steam Deck. I haven't played it yet. But when I'm done with this episode, I'm probably going to go play that video game. Another demo that's out now is a game called Station to Station, which is a game that I think showed up at 3 of these events that I'm talking about. It's a quote-unquote relaxing train management sim. It just has beautiful art. It kind of looks like the backgrounds to like Octopath Traveler or Triangle Strategy. It kind of like has that energy to it, but it is about building railroads. And I don't know, that seems really nice. That seems like a thing that I want to do. Another demo I have sitting on my Steam Deck as we speak. Another one that we didn't get a whole lot of information on, but really stuck out to me as one that I want to keep an eye on, is called Baladins, Baladins. It's Paladins, but with a B. It's coming out in early 2024, but it seems like a game that's trying to recreate that like tabletop game night energy with your friends. So it's a co-op, up to 4-player co-op RPG where each session takes like an hour. The art style is very like Paper Mario. It has a paper-like quality, we'll say. It just looks really polished, really impressive. I just need more information about it, but based on what I've seen and based on what I've read in the little research that I did, it seems really cool. It's Baladins. A game that I did purchase immediately as soon as I heard about it and saw it was Smushi Come Home, which is a game where you play as a little mushroom guy, kind of just exploring like a big, nice fantasy forest. I don't really know too much about it outside of that. I don't even know what like the gameplay loop is. I just know it looked really cute and came out immediately during the Wholesome Direct on Switch and on PC. I have it sitting on my Switch right now. I have a lot of games to play after this, is what I'm coming to terms with the more of this I record. For fans of Unpacking is back, but this time it's available on your phone. Unpacking, if you haven't played it, really incredible game about specifically taking objects out of cardboard boxes and putting them in a space. I think big twist of the game, I won't spoil it obviously, but I think the big twist of like what the game is trying to do is that it has kind of a narrative to it. So you're unpacking boxes throughout somebody's life, and that can be brutal emotionally. It's a great game. If you haven't played it, I highly recommend it, and it's coming out on mobile this year, so that means it's out on everything. You really have no excuse to not play Unpacking at that point. Another game we saw, I think, at a Nintendo Indie World way back when, which means it's coming out to Switch, which is exciting, is Venba, which is a game about cooking, or at least like the central mechanic of the game seems to be about cooking. But the narrative is about a family that moves to Canada from India in the 80s. And it's about what, at least the vibe that I'm getting from it, is that it's about keeping the culinary culture alive after moving. And that's exciting. It's coming out in July. To Game Pass also, along with Switch and PlayStation and PC. So that's Venba. Looks really great. The last of the indie stuff I want to talk about is a game called On Garde, which just looks incredible. It's a swashbuckling, like Three Musketeers energy game. Another game that has a demo out right now. I just like the idea of playing as like a Three Musketeers-esque character. The combat looks really, really interesting. I did not download the demo for On Garde yet, but I really should. Just add it to the pile of games, you know. There are a couple other games I wanted to shout out that aren't indie games. I think the reboot of Lords of the Fallen that they showed at the Future Game Show looked awesome. It's a very Souls-inspired game. If that's not your bag, then, you know, this one's not going to be for you. But I think every single game that tries to do a Dark Souls-like thing usually has one central mechanic that kind of sets it apart. And the one for Lords of the Fallen is that they have two worlds that you can hop back and forth between. There's like kind of a light world and a like Stranger Things-esque upside down dark world. And that dark world has like better rewards in it, some like puzzle solving stuff. It looks really cool, but specifically the more time you spend in the dark world, the harder the game gets. And that's kind of an exciting idea. It's coming out in October to, pretty much all platforms except Switch. I'm just going to keep an eye on it. I mean, maybe it'll be good. Maybe it'll be a little bit too derivative, but either way, I think it showed really well. Another one from the Future Game Show that I was really interested in was Life by You, which I hadn't heard of, but apparently has been kind of floating around for a little while. But it's by Paradox Interactive, and it is really specifically like The Sims, but with mod support. The Sims famously, with EA being their publisher, not really officially supporting mods. Life by You is built from the ground up to be a game that is moddable and will allow the community to kind of turn it into whatever they want. And that's really cool. It's coming to early access on September 12th and is a game I really want to get my hands on. I just like the idea of more people making Sims games. The same way I want more people to make games inspired by Katamari Damacy, I want more people to make games inspired by The Sims. And Life by You looks like it could be a good one of those, so want to keep an eye on. And the last game I'll shout out today is one that, again, we've seen announced before, but we got like a date and stuff. But it's Sea Smash Versus, which is a reimagining of Cosmic Smash, which is a game from the Sega Dreamcast. Weirdly enough, okay, so this game is coming out on PlayStation VR 2. Comes out soon, June 20th. It has solo play and multiplayer. It looks so much like the original. It's just in VR now. And honestly, brilliant move, because my favorite VR games are the ones, if you're not going to go like full on No Man's Sky, Skyrim level open world in VR, the second best thing you can do, in my opinion, is making like a really abstract, weird space that just can't exist in reality. And Cosmic Smash absolutely was that, and Sea Smash Versus seems to be that as well. So I don't have PSVR 2, but honestly, there are more and more games getting announced for that thing that I think look really cool, and I think I might get one eventually. I think it might happen. We'll see, but I think it might happen. But that's all the stuff I wanted to cover for now. I'll probably be back again tomorrow. Look, it's the summer of games, and there's a lot of stuff to talk about, so I'm going to be here a lot, releasing a lot of stuff. But that having been said, are there any games on your list that you're like, I can't wait to play this, I gotta play this, I downloaded this demo, it's great, etc., that I didn't bring up today? Let me know in the comments. I'd be curious to see what I missed, because honestly, there was a lot. I tried taking notes on everything, and eventually, I got really tired. And I'm not drinking coffee right now, so the fact that I was even able to record this is a miracle. Anyway, thank you so much for watching or listening. Like, comment, subscribe, leave a review on Apple Podcasts. All that stuff really helps. I will catch you later, probably after the Xbox event tomorrow. Bye-bye. I'm excited for that. I think it'll be fun. Bye-bye.